It's a beautiful day with Radhi.
Hey everyone, I am so excited to share this week's video with you guys. It's from the Almost 30 podcast that I did a couple of months ago. And this time we are talking about so many different things, but mainly about how we feel about our bodies, how we cope with Instagram versus the reality of our lives, of people's bodies, things that trigger us online as well, that and how they end up impacting our mind, and really what the solution is. And so I hope you enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts and please share your stories below too. I really look forward to reading them.
Well, when I first started thinking about losing weight, I was probably in my teens. One thing I knew for sure is I didn't want to do it in an unhealthy way. I didn't want to diet crazily. I didn't want to, more so because I read into it of how it can really affect your body. And crash dieting actually ruins your metabolism so deeply. And it can, not only that, it's your organs, your reproductive organs, everything. It has such a negative effect on it. Mm-hmm. And so I knew from the beginning I didn't want to do that. And so I just started learning about food, and that's how I ended up. And my mum was an incredible cook. Like she cooked the most, she still does, cooks the most incredible food, very nourishing, very hearty, vegetables, lentils. Like I grew up vegetarian. So for me, I had so many fresh ingredients constantly around me that my mum used to use. And so I was lucky enough to grow up in a place where food was quite healthy growing up, and I appreciated it, and I really loved it too. But then honestly, I've always loved the combination of, I grew up in London, but I have an Indian background. And so really merging the two has been something which I've done a lot in my recipes. And I love that so much. Like, we're used to having burgers and whatever, but let me try and infuse a bit of, Eastern culture into it too. So instead I'll do like a spiced sweet potato burger with like chutneys and aromatic herbs and whatever it is. Like I really enjoy doing that from a young age. And so at university I would cook for all of my flatmates. And yeah, I think Ayurveda though taught me that, and so has actually in the different ways that I've been working out, that I feel so much that health is so much more about how you feel and really tuning into your body than it is about how you look. Because I remember going to so many classes, and after I started really practicing Ayurveda and started understanding my body better and what strength really feels like to me and health feels like to me, I would go to like a Barry's boot camp, for example, and I'd see someone who was much smaller than me, and also someone who was much more musclier than, much bigger than me. Mm-hmm. And I realized that visually you can never tell someone's health or strength. Yes. And so I would be able to outrun someone who looks far leaner than me, and that was what was really cool, because I was like, all body types are so different and so unique and so wonderful, and trends just come and go like the wind constantly. And so I was it really made me appreciate my body so much more, and appreciate what I thought were flaws as not being flaws at all. Like flaws we don't have to think of anything about ourselves as flaws. Yeah. You just have to think, and as soon as you change your perspective in that way, you just learn to appreciate it. And that doesn't mean you can't work on yourself to become fitter or healthier or change your body, but just understanding where that lies in your self-esteem or self-worth is what's important, I feel.
Yeah, how you define it.
How do you?
Yeah, love that.
I'm curious, how you feel about Instagram. Because I freaking love you on Instagram.
Yes.
And speaking to, the trends and just seeing, a certain body type, and you're like, oh my God, I need to work out or eat a certain way to be like that. And I think thankfully, I don't know, this is a blanket statement, but in my 30s, I'm like, I'm cool with how I feel. You know what I mean? There's just kind of this settling into yourself that happens, I think, a little bit later. But I'm curious, what your experience is with such a big platform.
Yeah, I can definitely say that I had gone through that feeling, especially when you move to America. I don't know, for us, as soon as you move country or something, you're like, oh my gosh, you see all these different types of people and the glam and all of that. But I think, as dangerous as Instagram can be, I think that now there are so many people coming out that are really promoting just being yourself. So many people coming out and just being, and by that I mean they are very transparent with, they come on without makeup, and I think that's a big deal. And I know that sounds so lame, but at the same time, it's a big deal because otherwise people genuinely believe you look like that all the time.
Yes.
And I think there are plenty of ways that you can go down a very negative rabbit hole. But the way I stopped it is like every time I would go through my feed and I'd see something that I find triggers me in a negative way, I'm just like, do I really need, like, I don't need to be following this. Do I want to be following someone that I feel has an unattainable body type that I think that I want? No. So let me just remove that from my feed. Let me just remove that from, I think it's perfectly okay to remove things that don't serve you in a positive way. And if that means you mute them, if they're your friends, then that's okay. Just mute them. Like, that's fine for you to do that. You may not want to delete them, but to really remove those things that make you feel negatively about yourself is important. But at the same time, it's important for you to work on yourself as well, so that you're able to come, because you can't just live in a bubble. And so I actually think that, and actually I think confidence is purely that. It's being comfortable in your own skin. Like, it's not about you being able to go. I used to think confidence was like going up. I used to see people going up on stage and being so comfortable, and I used to be like, oh wow, I want to be that confident. Or I used to see people showing so much skin on their body, whatever body type, and I'd be like, I wish I was that comfortable, or like, I wish I was that confident with my body. And then I realized that actually confidence is comfort. Like, how comfortable do you feel? It's like what you said, how comfortable are you settling in to who you are? And as soon as you feel that, I'm like, then you see and sometimes you see people walking into a room and it's their confidence and their comfort level of themselves that attracts you to them. More than anything else about them, more than their fashion sense, more than how they look. It's like they look so comfortable in who they are. And that is actually so much more attractive.
It's true.
Yeah, that's like the dream.
True.
That is the
for
dream.
so many people, just to be comfortable. And I think you made such an important point is like, you know, when you see something that triggers you, like the body type, and you're able to mute it, it's just so important to like always be curious about exploring the trigger too, while you're muting that.
Exactly.
You know, it's like not having the one side of it. Because I think it's so true, like with the bubble. And I think I've seen that a lot as like a trend where it's like unfollow the people, mute the people, remove the people, whatever, remove that toxicity from your lives, which you should remove toxicity from your life, but you can't always just go through life removing things that are triggering. The wound will always be there.
Exactly.
And the wound is like magnifying sometimes.
And
it'll always find
you.
something. Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
as much as because people can live their lives how they want. If people want to post pictures like that, and if people want to have bodies in that way, then they should be able to. That's their choice. And so we have to be able to either we are happy, we find a way to deal with that, and looking at it shouldn't trigger us, in which case we need to do the work, or you mute it and you go on with your life. But at some point that's going to end up affecting you in a negative way anyway. So I guess it just always comes back to you. That's the scary part, when you realize that it's also like, okay, I can't blame anyone anymore.
Literally.
Fine.
That's what I was going to say when you said that earlier. I'm like, it's empowering, but also you're like,
oh God, it's my fault.
Yes, everything. You're like, oh my gosh, it gets exhausting. Sometimes I'm like, wow, victim mentality is kind of fun.
It's I want to sit in that for a bit.
Yes, you're like, can I have this moment with like myself?
But I think it's a constant thing. It's like I don't ever feel like I've reached now I feel like I'm so confident, because there's always things that things will always knock your confidence.
Yes.
And I still have so many areas of my life I have to settle into about myself and really understand so much more. And so I actually think, I think confidence can be knocked and you can fall down. But with that, as soon as you start investing in yourself more, you find you're able to pick yourself up just a little bit faster. You can get yourself back up faster. And I think that's the bounce back is, a shorter period of time.
So I really hope that was useful to you guys. Trust me when I say you are not alone in feeling those feelings when you scroll through your Instagram. And as much as we want to just lock people off and shut ourselves away from that, actually what's more important is dealing with where it's really rooting from inside of us. And there's only so long that we can shut ourselves away for. Also, I really, really loved our conversation on confidence, because I truly do believe that. I believe that confidence is actually, it comes from a place of being settled. It comes from a place of feeling really comfortable with who you are. And like I said, unfortunately, that all comes down to us. And so it's all about putting in the work, putting in the time we invest in ourselves, being the most important time, because that's when we're able to really understand ourselves better. So we are able to settle into ourselves better, and then we'll be able to exude everything that we have inside of us with confidence, without fear, without worry, and really recognize and really excavate all the triggers that are inside of your heart, so that your external environment and the things that are around you don't affect you as much. So I truly hope this conversation was useful for you guys, and I'm sending you all so much love and gratitude, and see you all on Friday.